Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for this afternoon, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Hello there, Ellen.
Hi, Mike. Good afternoon again.
Again, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's wonderful. Hey, last time around we kind of did a little bit of a lead into, you know, planting trees and shrubs, okay, in the fall, and it is a wonderful time to do that. And we talked about some of the planning, excuse me, that needs to go into that whole process because
Hmm.
you can make some mistakes that kind of end up kind of permanent. I mean,
Right.
after the tree has been growing for 2 or 3 years, you're not necessarily going to go out there and decide one day and kind of move it over 6 inches, okay, and stuff like that. Even though I've been known to do stuff like that, okay, okay, it doesn't surprise you, does it? Okay, that
No, it
I that,
doesn't.
that I would do that, but it's not easily done at all. So you got to do some planning that we had talked about, and one of the the best places that you can go to, as far as I'm concerned, as far as to kind of help you do some of this, is to go to advanced Google. And
Hmm.
how you do that, you go to Google, type in advanced Google, okay, call up that, okay, and it'll bring you to a screen, okay, with a number of different things to fill in, but you don't have to fill them all in. You only have to fill two in. Put your question on the first line, and say, attractive shade trees or large shade trees or small shade trees in Pennsylvania, and
Hmm.
then go down to domain and hit in .edu, and then drop down to search and hit search. That'll bring you to the university sites where you'll get some really good information about you know shade trees that are appropriate for this area of the country, and you can kind of walk through that and get some ideas, and then you can further, once you've taken a look at that, you can carry that a little bit further and kind of, if you find a tree that you like, say it's a sugar maple, you can actually go back to the beginning of advanced Google and hit in, sugar maples, okay, characteristics
Hmm.
of sugar, or growth characteristics of sugar maples, and go down to make sure it's still at .edu under domain, and then go down to search, and it'll bring you up all kinds of good information that you really kind of want to know about that particular tree before you make a decision to plant it. Now, if you're walking around the neighborhood and you find something you really like, and you don't know what it is, there's a really neat app you can put on your smartphone. It's called Picture This. And what you do is you walk up to that plant, or you don't even have to get real close. You can take a picture, and call up that app, and it takes a picture of it, and it tells you what it is. It'll actually tell
Hmm.
you some of the characteristics of that. So please find some nice things to do like that. And when you get around to it, after you do some of this planning, you might decide that you might want to wait until spring, which is absolutely wonderful because the plant selection that you might find in the fall might not be really good. In fact, some of those potted containers, that you're going to find in the fall, they've been sitting in that nursery all summer long, and maybe they're not the healthiest looking at this stage of the game. And I'd caution you about purchasing those. Maybe you're better
Right.
off waiting till spring. Okay.
Hmm.
You see, and if you wait till spring, you might have the option of bare rooted plants, or might have the option of balled and burlap and the container, which are kind of fresh. So you might want to, use that particular approach. Or you might actually go to a catalog, okay, and order it that way. So that's some of the ways that you can kind of approach this particular topic. A lot of different
Hmm.
ways you can get a lot of really good information. But what about planting, Ellen?
Well, I mean, now we're going to assume that you've done your research. You know what you want to plant. So now you want to confirm that planting spot. Where's the best place to plant that tree or shrub that you've decided to buy? And then how do you position that plant? Like, what face of the plant should be the most prominent? You want to make sure you dig the hole deep enough so that the root flare, which is where the first main roots attach to the trunk, are just above the soil surface. And then dig the hole about 3 times as wide as the root ball. Now, another thing, do not amend that soil. Don't add fertilizer. Just place the plant in the hole, adjust the height and position as is needed. Make sure you extend those roots outward and rough up that whole edge. Fill the hole halfway with water, add the remaining soil, and then water again. Now, you might need to stake that tree if you live in an area where there's strong winds, but use material that's gentle on the tree. Don't wrap something around the trunk of that tree all the way around because you could cut off circulation. So be careful if you do have to stake the tree. Now, mulch about 2 to 3 feet out from the trunk, but don't place that mulch against the tree. That's something Mike did not mention. You walk around the neighborhood and you see mulch halfway up the trunk of the tree. That's really bad.
Yes, it is.
And you might want to place a couple gallons of water around the base of the tree 2 or 3 times a week until snow begins to fly, because then the ground would be frozen and would not be good.
Right. And if you do find some container plants that you really like, and you might find some shrubs, okay, they need a little bit of a special attention because they may very well have been in that container for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
And they
right.
might have developed a circular growth pattern, okay, within that pot. That pattern actually, you need to disturb it. You need to make 4 or 5 vertical cuts, about 1.5 to 2 inches deep, okay, and put a big X on the bottom, and actually go in there with your fingers or a small cultivator and actually pull those roots out, out of out of that circular pattern and redirect them,
Mm-hmm.
and then place that tree in a hole as Ellen described, and water it, fill some more, and then water it again, and then stake it as necessary. Um, But again, you have to take some time to disrupt that circular growth pattern of those roots. Otherwise, they're going to continue in that pattern, and you're going to shorten the lifespan of that tree or shrub by a considerable amount. And that's something that you really don't want to do. Don't worry about harming the roots. If you get a bare root
No.
tree or you get a balled and burlap tree, when they've dug those trees up, they've probably left 80% of the roots in the ground where that tree was growing. With a potted plant, you have 100% of the roots. Okay, so if you damage 30 or 40% of them, you're still way ahead of the game. Okay, as far as the viability of the roots are concerned. So don't worry about that, but you gotta rough it up. You gotta pull
Yeah.
those things out, and you gotta redirect them. It's well worth the time. So, Ellen, I think that was a very nice summary of things, and we
Mm-hmm.
encourage people to do a little planning when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to this whole concept of planting trees and shrubs. You'll be happy in the long run.
Right.
Anything you want to add, Ellen?
Nope. Just have fun and do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework, right, and enjoy those shrubs and trees.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for listening.